Okay, we got Crucial. Crucial, you there?
Yeah, what's up?
I'm all right. Are you over 18 and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yeah, I'm 26, so we're all good.
All right, cool. Do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Well, I guess I mean a bunch of things personally, but first of all, like I just got here, so I don't know what the previous conversations were. To be fair, so I don't know if this is gonna be repetitive, but
All good. Go ahead.
I mean, if you look at so time is the only factor when it comes to slavery that would be in regards to like reparations, right? Because every culture throughout history has been slaves at one point or another. White people have been slaves, black people have been slaves, Indian people have been slaves, Asian people have been slaves. So the point is like we all can agree that slavery is bad,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if the question for reparations is that, oh, there was a bad thing that happened, aka slavery, and thus people were, I don't know, put in a worse spot because of it, then we should pay them money. Then everyone in the entire world should be paid money.
We're talking about America.
Yeah, and British white, there were white people, they were British that came and imported to America that were slaves. There were white slaves in America.
Which ones? If you swipe out the app, I can't hear you. You might have gotten a phone call. So come on back whenever you hear this. Oh, there you are. Yeah, if you swipe out the app, I can't hear you, but you might have gotten a phone call. So it's one of those. All right. So yeah, who was which white person was a slave in America, or which culture of white people were slaves in America?
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to pull up Google so I could pull it up. But
It wasn't the Irish. I'll tell you that right
no,
now.
no, no, it wasn't the Irish, it was the British. They were British slaves in America.
They were
Early on
British.
in its onset, when America first started getting colonized,
Hmm.
British slaves were brought here.
They were indentured servants. They weren't any slaves.
What would you define difference between indentured servitude and slavery?
Indentured servitude is only for a certain amount of time, and you're still a person. You're not property. Slaves were property.
Again, I'd have to. I was trying to pull up the exact information. That's why I was trying to pull off of screen. But my point is like again, throughout the dawn of history, every race has been a slave, one form or another. Even if okay, let's say in the aspect of like America, right? America, you have black slaves. So does this mean, from your point of view, that I believe it was? Oh God, this was. I'm trying to recall history now, but white slavery occurred way early on. Obviously, when nations conquered other nations. So, because I'm white, does that mean that, let's say hypothetically, there were white slaves in India? Does that mean India should pay me reparations because I'm white?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
So it just becomes a circle,
No, not really.
theoretically.
Here's the thing. This is really like this hypothetical and what we're talking about is really besides the point, bro. In the United States, the group of people who were here in the United States and who were oppressed, not just from slavery but by the effect of slavery, were African Americans. The government and private companies were complicit in that. The government especially put in policies that damaged African Americans. Why should they not pay that? When we're talking about like white slaves and everything like that, I understand that in the beginning of like colonial history and stuff like that, there were the Barbary states who took slaves from Greece. There were the Barbary states that enslaved some Americans and made them build ships, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The Barbary states don't exist anymore. The Barbary states never imposed anything in America that made white Americans not be able to own a home or deem them second class citizens or put drugs in their neighborhoods, anything like that. You feel me? The United States government did that to African Americans. So the question is not about, all over the world had slavery. Fine, all good and well. But we're talking about the United States and what the American government here did to the African Americans. We know that history and we can prove it definitively. Why should they not pay that damage?
So, I mean, looking at it now, so we're looking at it from today's perspective. Like, are people deservative of money because of something that didn't happen to them? So I could see, for instance, if you wanted to argue like reparations for a group that was actively, like just came out of the repercussions of slavery. But we're talking about generations at this point. So, for instance, like yourself, if you were to be one that would receive reparations, right? Why would you receive reparations? You were not a slave.
I'll receive reparations from France because my parents are from Haiti. So I'll receive it from France for all the damage that the French and the United States government has done to Haiti.
Okay, but I'm asking personally from your perspective. You were never a slave. Why do you deserve reparations?
I just told you. France caused damage to Haiti, so I should get reparations for that.
See, I don't follow that logic. That's it's like, so for my
Let me ask you a question. If I were to if I were to hit you with my car, and you break your leg, does my insurance or do I out of pocket pay for your hospital bill?
if you were to hit me with your car and break your leg,
Yeah.
does
If
your
let's
insurance?
say I'm being reckless one day, and you're walking, you're taking a jog, and I drive around the corner, hit you with my
Mhm.
car, like I ran past a stop sign, hit you with my car, and let's say I have the money. I don't have insurance, but I do have the money. Like let's say I got $100,000 in the bank, and
Mhm.
your hospital bill is $10,000. Should I pay that?
If you, well, it's a question of who was at fault,
I
right?
was at fault. I
So
ran
you
a
were at
stop
a
sign
hundred
and I
percent.
hit you, and you break your leg. Your hospital bill is $10,000. I have $300,000 in the bank. Should I pay you?
I would say yes, you are the liable party at
Right.
fault.
In my analogy, America is the person in the car, and the person who's walking is black people. That's what happened. So why should if America caused damage to black people, why should they not pay it?
So I could see that perspective, but my one question is this act in your theoretical example of like breaking the other party's leg. This would have happened to someone that is no longer with us. This isn't like it happened to you. You did not get hit by the car in this example. You're like the kid of the person that got hit by the car. Like, do you deserve money because your parent was hit by a car? I don't think so.
Oh, you want to go ahead and go to that example because there actually is real life examples of that too. Like if let's say not only did I hit you with the car, right? I unalived you. Are your kids gonna get compensation?
Uh,
They are.
I feel like we're
I work in insurance. They are.
this. I feel like this example is kind of a poor example for this though.
It's
But
not. It's not. I work in insurance. If I hit you with my car and I unalive you, your kids will get compensation for that.
I mean, yes, but again, I don't think this is a very good example for going back to slavery. To be instance,
Do you know what redlining is?
I do not know.
Okay, see, that's the problem. Because remember, I didn't say just slavery. I said the effects of slavery, such as black codes, Jim Crow, the war on drugs, and redlining. Redlining still affects African Americans today. Redlining was a system where African Americans were not allowed to purchase homes, and insurance companies would only not insure those areas. Grocery stores would not go to those areas. Hospitals would not be in those areas, and affected the education system. The reason why the schools in like a lot of project areas are so bad is because schools are funded through property taxes, and redlining made it so African Americans largely cannot own a home, so there are less property taxes.
So again, goes back to like the idea of like punishing for your father's sins, right? Like you're responsible for your father's sins. Have you heard that argument before? Right? So the idea behind this is like if my father, for instance, were to kill someone and he was supposed to go to jail or whatever, should I, as his son, just because I'm his son, have any bear any responsibility for my father's actions?
You're not bearing responsibility for your father's actions, and no one's saying that
But we are. If we're doing reparations, where's that money coming from?
the government. No one's asking you
Where
personally.
does where does the government get its money from?
The government gets its money from us, the taxpayers. But you're not
Correct.
the only
So
taxpayer, are you?
no, but it's fair to say then that part of my taxes would then be getting redirected directly to someone else for the sins of, in this situation, my father.
Yeah, because the government did a bad thing. It's not you
And I
paying it; the government is
I'm
paying it.
paying for the, yeah, no, I am paying for it though. That's my tax money.
And I am too because it's my tax money. It's a wash.
It's not though, because you then receive money back in return. I don't receive money for the reparations, do I?
No, you wouldn't receive money for reparations unless you were affected by what the government did. So
Okay, so
so
do you
your
see how
argument
that's do you
so
see
your
how that's
argument
unfair, though?
so your argument is that if the government does something wrong, they shouldn't pay for it because I don't want to pay my taxes. That's nonsense.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm asking. So it's back to the idea of like who's at fault, right?
The
So if
government, we already established that.
yes, okay, but the government is just a, it's just a title, right? So who specifically the government? It was the people operating the government. Those people that were operating the government are no longer with us, right? At those times and periods of time, the people that were the quote unquote government that were running the government are no longer with us. Okay.
The government owned company that started redlining still exists today.
Well, then that company, not the government, the company should be at fault.
It's a government ran company.
Well,
It
then
was
that's
a
a whole
government
different, that's a
right. It
whole
was
different situation.
and it was a government
So
policy. So it was a government policy that damaged African Americans. So why shouldn't the government then put in policies to repair them?
because the issue is who is, so the money isn't just printed. And if the money is printed, that's a question of inflation. So the money that's coming to you from reparations, right, has to come from someone, aka someone's pockets. And in this case, the money the government would be giving away is coming from everyone's taxes, which means I am now giving money for the sins that I did not commit.
Like how
And
we did,
someone else is getting benefits that that they did not experience.
like how
So
we did for the
now you have
Japanese,
inequality.
like how we did for the Japanese.
I am not familiar with the example you're bringing up.
We gave the Japanese reparations, bro.
And again, was it the people that actually conducted the actions that were
The
initiated?
government gave Japanese reparations. Reagan signed it in 1988.
And again, I wouldn't agree with it.
That's
I
fine. You
don't
won't
think
agree with it, but the fact of the
I don't
matter
think any
is,
reparations
I
would
understand
be.
that you won't agree with it, but the fact of the matter is that we already have, what's that word I'm looking for? We already have, was it precepts? We already have, this is something that already happened, so we know it that it can be done. But but my problem and my issue is that we still haven't reached to the point of if the government does something wrong, you're saying that they shouldn't pay for it because you weren't there. That makes no sense to me.
No, I'm saying that that time when the action was committed or the wrong time was committed, there is a certain like mm,
Are the effects still exist?
time frame.
Are the effects still here though?
I mean, you can argue that anything that has happened in history has effects that are present today. It's just a matter of how much effects are present.
And
So again,
we've seen the effects of redlining. There's a reason why the projects exist. It's because of redlining.
okay, so now coming look at it from my perspective, right? So what? So now I myself, the money that I pay the government is now going to somebody else, and I don't get any money. So it's like unfair treatment, so to speak, right? So why am I getting punished for something that I didn't do, and
You
I am not receiving reparations?
you ain't getting punished, bro.
Yes, yes, I am. I'm not getting the same treatment as somebody else because of the basis of their skin.
Yeah, you are getting the same treatment. How are you being treated differently? I don't understand what are you talking about?
One person is receiving, let's say it's $1,000. One person is receiving $1,000 because they are African American, and one person is not receiving $1,000 because they are white. That's
So
discrimination.
no, it's reparations.
It's quite literally treating somebody different based upon the color of their skin and not their actions. It's discrimination.
No, it's not discrimination. What would be discrimination is if that because that you're white, you can't own a home, which is what the government did to black people.
I'm saying, okay, but today, for instance, for yourself, because you are African American, does that mean you cannot own a home?
No, that law is no longer in place anymore, but it still
Okay.
happens.
What do you mean it still happens?
Bank of America and Navy Federal Credit Union were all sued just last year for discriminating against black applicants.
Okay, and so they got sued, and I assume they got caught and thus had to pay out.
Yeah, it's something that still happens. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay, and they were the party at fault, right?
Yeah,
So
and the government
they
was a
had to
party.
pay out.
Right, and the government was the party at fault when it comes to redlining. So why shouldn't they fix that? I'm still very confused why you think that the government shouldn't fix the actions that they caused.
I'm not okay. I'm saying that the government is not. It's a bad term.
Sorry about that. Say that again.
No, it's all right. In my opinion, I think we should discern the government from the time at which the act was committed. So, for instance, I mean, you're talking about a company or organization versus a political body or a group of representatives. So, again, it's back to the party at fault and where is the money coming from?
The
I
party
mean,
at fault is the federal government because look, when Japanese got reparations in the 80s, it wasn't the same government that was in the 40s that interned them in those camps. It wasn't the same government. It was 40 years later. So now that we're 40 years later after redlining, you're saying that we shouldn't fix the problem. Like I'm still not understanding why shouldn't the government fix a problem that they caused. This is
I'm saying that we should learn from history, and instead of repeating either mistakes or discrimination, we should just treat everyone equally,
and it's
right?
not, and the way that we should
Isn't
do it
that a
is to
fair statement to make? Is that everyone should be
we
treated
should
equally?
be treated everyone equally, but it's not happening.
Okay, and if it's not happening, they should be punished.
Right.
This is again back to the perspective of now versus what happened in the past.
Right. So how do you punish the government?
How do you punish the government?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
The government is not the government treated black people unequally, so they should be punished for that, right?
So, okay, but the issue is that the government is is the people. It is the United States.
Yeah, and the people don't treat black people equally either.
How do the people not treat black people equally?
We see this in society. We see this in healthcare. And we also see it in real estate, and we also see it in employment, and we also see it in social perception. There's a social perception of like black men who are the same height and same build as their counterparts of white men are seen as more dangerous, are seen as stronger, and are seen as older as well, and are seen as more violent. So there's already a social stigma against just being the skin color.
So again, if there's anyone actively discriminating at this day and age, then they should face consequences. Yes, I agree. Because everyone we agree should be treated equally, unlike what happened in the past where people were not treated equally. We can all agree on that, right?
Yeah, we could all agree on that. What I'm saying is that in our
Okay.
in our day and age, black people are still not being treated the same. So we just can't just push this off to, it's the government or it's the people or it's this or it's that. Like, how do we fix this issue at the end of the day? What the government did to black people, which is why which is what the is the main reason why black people are in the condition that they are in today. How do you fix that?
I so I don't think that the African American community is in the position it is today because of acts that happened, 50, 60, or 100 years ago.
How do you explain the projects?
So there are, like you said, projects. Typically, you're talking about African Americans that are in, or let's say other cultures that are in economic areas of disparity. There are also white groups of people that are also very, very poor in economic areas of disparity. So I think back to the question of like where everyone should be treated equal.
I
If it,
no no wait. Let's go back. I understand that there are white areas that are poor. The black areas that are poor were made deliberately poor, and we know that. It's documented that those areas were made deliberately poor. So
and I
how
think
do
we
so
should
why
both
shouldn't that be
agree that that's
fixed?
wrong. I think we should both agree that's wrong, right?
Right. So that was wrong for the government to do. So they should fix that, right?
Again, it's a basis of time. When did this specifically happen?
This. I mean, it happened over the course of decades, man. Like redlining wasn't made illegal up until like the early '70s.
Early 70s.
Yeah, the early '70s is when redlining was made illegal all over the country.
Then
Like
what I would
Boston still had
recommend,
redlining until like 1971. So did Baltimore.
so then I would just recommend investing heavier into areas of economic troubles, but mostly in the education and infrastructure.
So reparations.
If that is the form of reparations that you would like to talk about, yes. I'm not. I'm just opposed to the idea of, let's say, the government writing a check to every African American based upon the basis of their skin.
It just won't be upon the basis of their skin, though. It would be based on everything that we're talking about.
I can almost guarantee you that hypothetically, if every African American got $10,000, right? Let's say that was the reparation. I'm just picking a number. Happened yet? It happened tomorrow. This would not fix any sort of economic disparity. It would probably last a relatively short amount of time because typically it's a matter of education on how to utilize money that equates to long lasting economic growth.
Black people know how to use money.
I'm not saying that black people don't know how to use money. I'm saying people that have, and typically in areas of less financial stature, can also have less educational stature because of the investment there, or the culture there. So this can be black, this can be white, this can be any race.
I'm kind of lost.
What I'm saying is that if everyone got handed like a $10,000 check, within a matter of pick it a year or two, nothing's going to change.
Sure, it will. Yeah, you'll have plenty of people who are starting new businesses, plenty of people who go back to school. Folks gonna be paying off their debt, or they'll spend it back into the economy, and clear up any, like I said, any bad debt that they have, anything, et cetera, or buy homes, put down on homes. Sure, it would.
See, I just I don't see it because let's take for example the stimulus check that everyone received back when COVID happened. I mean, did anyone's financial situation really change based upon the stimulus check?
No,
No.
because it was what, like $2,000.
Okay, and I mean, what are we talking about for a reparations price, for instance? If you had to ballpark,
If I had to ballpark it, I would say every African American should receive around $40,000 to $50,000, or at least their family should, every single year.
every single year.
Every single year.
Okay, so without even arguing like if this is right or not, where is this money coming from?
Government.
Okay, but you can't just say government. Specifically, where is the money coming from? Is it coming from taxpayer collected funds?
Yes, and we could like discretionary, about 47% of discretionary spending goes towards the military. We could cut that down to about 30%, and we can also reform the tax code as well. For example, you can go ahead and do something called like reverse taxation. That was actually an idea by Milton Friedman. You can do reverse taxation on African Americans, so all the taxes they pay out through the year gets rebated back to them.
Okay, and so here's the question. Let's say I was born in 2001, and another my neighbor who was black was born in 2001, right? So does that person deserve different treatment based upon the color of their skin, contrary to me?
I'm not sure. You
I
keep
mean,
saying I'm on different
it's like
treatment.
I am paying for the sins of people in the past,
You ain't
even
paying
though
nothing,
I
bro.
did nothing wrong. Yes, I am. My money that would have gone to areas that would have been mutually beneficial for every race is now getting redirected directly to a specific race and given them benefits.
Because the money that's being spent is not mutually beneficial to every single race. That doesn't happen.
Let's go back to the defense idea, right? I mean, all that money that's going into defense, who is it for?
Yes, for the
It's
United
to,
States.
it's to protect everyone that's in the United States unless everyone is benefiting from it, right?
No,
You don't think that defense? You think the defense is specific to race?
it's not specific to race, but it doesn't benefit us. It doesn't even benefit you.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Absolutely.
It benefits Boeing. It benefits military contractors. It benefits them. It don't benefit us.
If we did not have defense, we would not have the standing that we have in the world order, but also the security that we have to live the way we do as Americans.
The reason why we have the standing that we do is because of the Monroe Doctrine. We just went around like attacking uh, or regime changing all these other countries in South America. That's the reason why we have
Again,
what we do, and the Cold War as well.
yeah.
That's the reason we have what we do, because of the Cold War and because of regime changes.
I'm not going to say everything that the United States does is great and right or wrong. Okay, I get it. I think it's a net benefit. I'd say the United States is a net benefit. But again, going back to like this is just blatant discrimination. If someone's getting a better, uh, someone is getting a better life than me based upon the color of their skin, even though nothing happened to them. They were born the same day. They were born, 5 years ago. I was born 5 years ago. This is the hypothetical. Nothing happened to them to deserve this $40,000 a year. Why can't I get $40,000 a year?
So
Like, what did
essentially,
I do?
so essentially, the same thing that already happens now. That's what white privilege is. Like you understand that's what that is, right? You don't think that exists?
Does white privilege exist?
Yeah,
No, I don't think so.
it does.
How?
Were your grandparents redlined?
Again, please let's bring it back.
It's a yes or no.
I would say no, but back to
There
what
you
I'm
go. There you go.
today.
So your life wasn't made harder just by being white.
Today. Let's go to today.
Yeah,
Today's
let's go.
society.
Okay, let's go to today.
For instance, for yourself, were you redlined as an individual?
I probably was. I'm not even sure. I probably was. But let's ask this question. Let's go
You were
to
redlined? Did you say that ended in the 70s?
in 71. Yeah, but just because the law is no longer in
Then
effect,
how old were you in 71?
just because the law is no longer in effect, that doesn't mean that people won't still do it.
Then those specific people should be punished.
Correct.
Absolutely.
But
I agree with you.
what I'm saying is
But not
about
the
what I'm
entirety of civilization.
what I'm saying about white privilege is that you don't have to worry about something like that. You don't have to worry about when you go into a bank and sign up for a home mortgage that they may reject you just because you're white. I do.
And I would agree if someone is discriminating you based upon the color of your skin, they should be held accountable.
But
Absolutely.
all
In
right, but
today's society.
crucial. What you're not understanding is you just said that you don't think white privilege exists, but you agree with me that's something I have to worry about. That's what white privilege is about.
So I don't think it exists. And in specific instances where racism happens, those should be dealt with.
That's
I don't
what
think
white
there's
privilege is about, bro. That's what it's about. You don't have to worry about racism.
I just don't think it's as prevalent as you're making it out to be. I think it's a very minor area.
So why does every study and research out there shows that African Americans are still affected by racism in housing, racism in healthcare, and racism by the criminal justice system? Every single study shows that it still has measurable effects. If
I
what you
would
said
have
is true, it still has measurable effects. Then what does that tell you? As a matter of fact, let me bring up something that I brought up the other day. Did you know that when black babies are born, they're more likely to survive if they're taken care of by a black doctor versus a white doctor?
I don't know that, and I'd have to see the study. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest with you.
Yeah, sure. Give me a second.
Also, one thing I will say is that if we continue to treat one another as different individuals based upon the color of our skin, nothing will ever change. So the only way in order to enact equal rights for all is to just treat all equally. Period.
Yeah, we should, but that isn't happening, which is why we have to fix a lot of things. All right, so I'm not sure if you can see this, but here we go. A large body of work highlights disparities in survival rates across black and white newborns during childbirth. We posit that these differences may be ameliorated by racial concordance between the physician and newborn patient. Findings suggest that when newborns are cared for by black physicians, the mortality rate they suffer as compared with white infants is halved. Strikingly, these effects appear to manifest more strongly in more complicated cases when hospitals deliver more black newborns. No such concordance is a no such concordance effect is found among birthing mothers, which means that when black babies are born and they're taken care of by a black doctor, they're twice as likely to survive than under a white doctor. So if there's no, if like you said that you don't think that the racial issues that I'm bringing up is as pronounced as I think it is, but this shows that children, the most innocent creatures out there, are dying because of racism.
Again, I don't know enough about to make a statement on the validity of this or to even make a statement about the subject at all, to be honest with you. So I don't know if I really have any stance or box to preach on for this one.
All right, no, that's fine. The only thing that I wanted to show you was that this is still a major problem, and we see it, and this right here, the death of babies, like shows that. That's all I'm trying
So
to say. It's still a major problem. It's not a small problem.
so if righting the wrong of slavery is by treating one group unequal to another, won't that just lead a continuous chain of one being treated wrong and then needing to be reformed because of it?
We're not talking about treating one group better than the other or unequal to another. What we're talking about is repairing the damage that was caused, and one of those damages was monetary.
Again, back to my example, if I have a peer that's African American and he gets paid $40,000, his life is far better than my life because I don't get $40,000, and it's discrimination based upon skin color.
Nah, it just isn't. It just isn't. All right. We've been on for about 30 minutes. Give me a second, y'all. I think some people want to join. Kay and Issa and Caddy. I know you guys want to join. I'm gonna bring y'all up in a bit. All right, because we've been on
I
for 30
appreciate the
minutes.
conversation though, so I don't mean to. I'm glad that we didn't get hostile, and I appreciate.
Yeah, not a problem. I'm not sure if Kay is still in the comments, but I'm gonna.